doubt or anything happening in their life. Because I'm going to get started here. We're going to go over some of the notes from the Gig Summit from this weekend and the mastermind yesterday. So that's getting going live there. Mute that. There we go. Get back over here. Go to speaker view. All right. And hit record. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is February 18th, 17th. See, when I don't have my screen back there, I'm not sure. February 18th, Tuesday, February 18th, 2020. This is our morning Misfit call. Myself, along with a band of misfits who have decided to have more of what they want and less of what they don't. And by deciding to do less, they will have more. Join me every morning here at 6:30 a.m., Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, well, they can be special times anymore, but we tried to shoot for 8:30. All that being said, this is episode 361 of our sessions, and I got to thank you for being here because you make this possible, right? People say they're leaders, and if they're not leading, some people that call themselves leaders are just out for a walk. So all that being said, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me look here at the names just to see who's here. There's Shammy and Fautu and Michelle and Bob Parks and Paulette and Gisela and Manny, and everybody keeps moving around. Hey, there's Ryan. How are you, brother? He's at the gym. I was like, well, what's that guy with the phone in your background doing? No, it's not a guy with a phone. It's a guy with a weight. Good morning, Gisela and Natalie. And Nicole, and there's Ray Barbuto, and Christian's combing her hair, and that looks so beautiful. Good morning. And there's Javella. Listen, I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all are amazing souls. Anybody new to the call? Anybody, is this your first time on this call? If it is, drop a N in the chat. We'd love to just send you some love, send you some Jasmine. Great to have you here. LaToya. I just guessed your name. That's how I do that. I appreciate y'all being here. There's Crystal, and there's Ashley and Bree and that hair, and Michelle and Brandon. Love you all. Appreciate you. You know, one of the things we had this weekend is the need for connection. People are looking for that. I know I love it. I love being connected. I love going to events. And I might be a little bit, I don't want to say prejudice, a little bit more excited about events, because the events I go to, I usually know a lot of the people that are there, and it's fun. So it's just enjoyable. Welcome all the new souls. Appreciate you. Glad to have you here. There's Laura Mendez. So this morning's conversation was about the self-esteem, just going over notes, open Q&A, going over notes. What is going on with all of this stuff on my screen? Open notes, Q&A conversation, whether it be about the self-esteem conversations, whether it be about any notes conversations we had from the weekend or from yesterday, the mastermind, talking about some of the gig economy. But yesterday we went back into self-esteem. That's a huge thing. Listen, if any of that stuff is still running around in your head, if you're having a little bit of a battle with it, if the enemy's showing up and saying, yeah, don't even ask those questions, ask the dang question, because we still need to have conversations about that. So if any of that stuff pops up, feel free to raise your hand. Just click your hand somewhere on your, I don't even know how you raise your hand. I mean, I know how to raise my hand, but we got RBP back in our own home court. So all her family's happy and enjoying that right now. So that's all cool. So conversations, let's see here. I gotta take my glasses off because I can read perfectly fine. It's that far stuff away seeing. Touch points. This is powerful. Who's your 10%? Okay, so did we get, yes. I guess we did flip to this page. So here's a question for you. How many scripts have you been given in your life that keep you stuck? Now, that wasn't part of the conversation. For those of you that are learning or hearing the way my brain works, I hear somebody on stage say something to the effect of, you know, the biggest problem that they have with coaches or trainers is that they give people scripts, and these scripts keep them stuck. That's a fact. Sometimes people have scripts. I could give you a script. I could. I've got thousands of them up here, right? And I replay them all the time. They get tweaked based upon situational awareness, but I could give you a script. It ain't going to work for you because it's my script. So I then hear, scripts get us stuck. What's the question for that? What scripts do we have in our own mind that keep us stuck? I keep my glasses on here. Oh yeah. So that being said, y'all ready for this? And I'd love for you to type some of this in there. I got to keep my glasses on to read the text. If you're told new product is coming out, then you get excitedly tell your significant other that they immediately discount and discredit it. Proper response to take away the negative feeling. Don't tell them about the new product. I know that's like, well, wait a minute, but I want them to know. Don't tell them about the new product. Too many people have had to put their faith in so many things. Yet the only thing we can put faith in is, you know, the guy upstairs. For me, this is me. I'm not telling anybody what to do or how to think. This is me. And the only thing I can put faith in with my bride is that she loves me and that I love her. I don't know what a company's going to do. You know how many times I've been disappointed, and I'm on the inside. I'm one of the faith keepers. I'm one of the faith healers, one of the faith sayers. You know how many times in 22 years we've been disappointed by companies? So when there's a new product coming out, now, if you've let the cat out of the bag and how do you deal with a negative feeling? Think about what that question says. This works for everything. This works for everything, this question. How do we deal with a negative feeling? Who's telling the story? Who's telling the story that it's negative? Sit with that for just a second. It can't be a negative. It can only be a negative feeling because it's the story we're saying about the response. It's how they respond and we go, oh, that's negative. Compared to what? Did they go outside and find some dog poop and put it on your plate and go eat it? No, that'd be silly. Well, then I say responding negatively is silly. I know that's a normal course of action. I would encourage you to ask who's saying it's negative. What? And that's the old story, isn't it? Isn't that the old story? I've told them in the past. It says it right there, a new product coming out. And you tell somebody that, and they discredit it. They immediately discredit it. They can only discredit it if something in the past came out and it didn't work either, or didn't come out in time, or didn't come out on time. They're only responding to what they understand. So, two things. We either respond differently or deliver the information differently. You're not designing it to be cold. So if I walk in, listen, I've told the story about me walking into a bar in St. Croix. I'm not the normal color of the people that are in the bar in St. Croix. It's a Crucian bar. It's a St. Croix bar. It's an island locals only bar. And I walk in and the whole bar, like in the movie scene, just goes quiet. White boy, what you doing in here, man? I'm with David Degazan. Oh, you with Kingpin, man? Everything cool, boy. Come on in, man. my point is that there's certain situations, there's only certain ways you can respond. There's many ways you can respond to situations, but it's, if you know things are going to be different, you don't go walk into a fire going, I wonder if I'm going to get burned. Now, if you're put in the furnace and you're sitting there singing the next morning when they open the grates to look in, they go, what's going on here? That's a different story. But all too often we walk into a presentation with a prospect thinking, preparing ourselves for them to say no, and we're surprised when they say no. Here's the hard part. You want to know why they, you know why they kind of show up negatively, or why people say no to us? It's because we were so prepared for the no, we asked for it, we brought it on. If law of attraction works, it works all the time. You can't pick and choose when well, I don't want law of attraction to work now. I want them to hear what I want to hear. And I want them to be happy that they get to hear what I want to hear. But I'm not 100% sure they're going to like what I have to say. Great question. Hope that helps. Hope that brings a response. Here's the next question. What magic dust do you wish what magic dust do you wish you could find? I know it sounds funny, but I'm serious. What magic dust do you wish you could find that if you could throw it in the air and it fall on you, you would instantly have fill in the blank? I know it's a silly question, but sometimes we got to change this stuff up so that the silliness in us can come out. What would you want? Magic dust, the money kind. Awesome. So the money kind, what would it do? It wouldn't just bring money to you. It would give you the courage to go do what? So we want some more income in our life. Jim Rohn says money is just value. Money is just value. To live instead of exist. So, Nikki, you know, I love you. My question is that can you live in this moment? Are you living in this moment? Meaning, aren't you living in this moment? The existing happens when we're not in this moment. The existing happens when we're not in this moment. The existing is a history book on the shelf. It exists, but it's not alive till we open and turn the pages. So I was just listening to an amazing sermon this morning by T.D. Jake's daughter. It was sent to me by a very dear friend. And she was at the Unfiltered conference. She was at the Unfiltered conference speaking. I would encourage you, Rhonda, I don't know if you have that link available, if you can put that in the chat. But if you want to have ladies, if you want to have somebody that just absolutely, you know, takes off the shoes and is walking in faith, this is I mean, I'm sitting here going, man, I wish I was a woman at that conference. So I'm going to ask you I'd ask you to listen to that, Nikki, because it's about, you've got the greatest warrior in the world at your side. And he picked you to go to battle with. So then the question is do you refuse to lose? And you've been there many times. That's why you're on this call at 4:30 in the good God morning. And if you just jumped off this call, Nikki, and clicked on that YouTube, go do it, because this might be your quote free time, your free time, your you time. Turn me off, girl. Turn me off. Go turn that on, and then you listen. It wouldn't bother me if you all did it. What I'm saying is that it's that powerful for you to hear the words, because there's something that happens. There's something that happens when there's a community of people. When you start seeing the person next to you stand up, when you start seeing the person next to you get up, when you start seeing the person next to you move up and raise in vibration, there's just something about that. So what is it that you refuse to give up? I'd start with you. I'd start with you. What do you refuse to give up? Do you refuse to give up? Do you refuse to sit there in fear and doubt? Do you refuse to sit there in lack of love? Listen, start with you. Start with you. You're the one that deserves it. Sometimes we're worried about everybody else. And ladies, again, I'm speaking from this just smarter than a coconut brain of a guy. You're amazing. Every one of you are amazing. Guys, we're amazing too. I understand that, right? But ladies, I sat in a workshop. I sat with amazing souls who came in from New Zealand and came in from all over the country and came in from Dallas and sat in this event this weekend. And number one income earner for her company in Canada. You know what? You know why they tell the stories? Number one income earner in Canada for her company. And this woman, all she wanted was to make an extra $300 a month to pay for the diapers. Now, you can look at it two ways and say, wait a minute, she became the number one income earner. All she wanted was just a little bit. But how many times, what would have happened sooner if she said, you know what? I want to become this. I deserve to become this. It's okay for me to have more. Every one of you, is it okay for you to have more? What do you tell? Why are you asking for the small dreams? And then to wrap the whole thing up, to put a little bow on it, God's got a pretty funny way of putting us in touch with people. We're sitting there having a conversation with this gentleman who's absolutely an icon in the industry for the last 30 plus years. All of a sudden says, you know what? My life changed 4 months ago. I'm sitting in church Saturday nights at 6:30 going, oh my goodness. And the comment that was made was, you asked. What are you not asking for? What are you saying? Oh, give me an answer. Give me an answer. And he's like going, what's the question? What's the question you have? So Ray posted a question. That's a specific question. Ask it. You know the answer to it. And if you sit quietly, the answer will come to you. Impacting. LaToya, I don't think impacting is the magic dust you want. You could. But what's bigger than impacting? Careful what we ask for, because we'll get it. Impacting, you could tick a lot of people off, right? I don't know what and we're not getting into that, but anybody's political affiliation who's never not on your team is impacting you. And people don't necessarily like to be impacted in that way. So figure out what impacting is, the next level up. What's the next level to impacting? Careful what we ask for, right? Positively impacting others. Rapport dust. Dana's got to be asking for a friend, because I know he's got instant rapport. Now, he's got this amazing brain that's this thermodynamic engineer, which is a very, there's not a bar in town, in every town, of thermodynamic engineers hanging out. That I get. He's got a unique way his mind works. But the instant rapport could start off with, thank you. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks for being a good dad, a good husband. Thanks for being a good mom. Just thank you. Instant rapport. So yeah, Nikki, if you started to have more, do more, girl, am I allowed to say that? When we see your pictures, when I see your pictures, and that long, amazing hair that takes, 72 Sundays and a Monday to get done. I can't even imagine what it takes. The way you stand out, the beauty that you present. Sometimes it's just, I have no idea because I'm not this guy. You know, I don't know if there's guys that go, I wish I wasn't this handsome. Listen, I ain't that guy. But I don't know if there's sometimes women go, oh my gosh, they can only have, here's what I do know. Here's the closest I can get to it. It's the meeting after the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, when you're finally with your peers who have attained certain levels of success or who have certain scars from the business world, that you can all just sit down, and it doesn't matter if they're making 300 million and you're making $1 million, or you're making 100,000. You're in the upswing of your pendulum of your life, or you're in the downswing. All of that stuff goes out the window, and you can just sit and have conversation with your friends. I don't know if it's like that with women of beauty, and I'm guessing it is, because it's now you all have the same what? Story. What's the story that you have? What's the story you're hoping to come true? I can tell you it's coming true right now. Paulette, I'm gonna say, yeah, I don't know that. And you know, I say this with love. I know my mom and dad didn't ask enough, based upon how you were raised sometimes and what you came through and how your parents taught you and trained you. You got enough. You can ask for anything you want. Sometimes we think, this is me speaking, when you ask the father, the word father is coming in. I'm asking my dad for it. I never really asked my dad for anything. I never asked him to come to a ball game because I knew he couldn't. I didn't want him to feel disappointed. How many of us are not asking because we're afraid that we would disappoint our father? That just, thank you for the therapy. Who do I send a check to? Because that just came out. Are we afraid the father's not going to look at us different when we go to ask? Are we afraid to ask our upline, our support team, whoever it is that we're asking for? Because if we're afraid to ask them, how could we be afraid to ask somebody that we're going to get to be disappointed? Are we saying that we're not good enough, that we have to ask? Wow. That 54 years, that statement has never crossed over these lips. So I don't know what somebody's feeling that helped bring that out in me, but thank you. I just want to make sure all of this was being recorded so that I could go back and watch it. Are we afraid that we're going to disappoint our father, going, why would you ask me for that? Could that be wired in some of us? Could that be wired in maybe all of us, a lot of us? I don't like to make carte blanche statements, but how many of us have ever asked and we've gotten the look, well, that's the dumbest thing. You know, we can't afford that. You know, we can't do that. You know, we don't do that. And then we go to pray. We go into prayer. And in prayer, we're like, well, I'm not going to ask for that. I don't want to seem like I'm needy. We're all needy. That's why maybe we have to get on our knees to show our neediness. We hear it all the time. We hear it all the time from stage of our profession, network marketing. Be bold. Then you hear from the stage when you hear ministers say, pray boldly, ask boldly. Well, could we ask a little more boldly today? What would be a bold question? You don't need to type it in the chat. What would be a bold question for you to ask your father today? What would be a bold question? You know, how many times have we heard all out massive action? How many times have we heard all out massive action? Maybe we need all out massive action in our asking. Ooh, snap. What would all out massive action in your prayer look like? In your asking, in your being attentive to your prospect? What would all out massive action of being present look like? What would it sound like? You being totally present with your prospect, all out massive presentness. Dana, I would say that if I heard you in line speak to somebody, I don't care if it was a checkout line or somewhere, but if I heard you speak, your voice has such an amazing resonance to it. It is just so inviting. Your laugh is absolutely amazing. Your smile is absolutely incredible. You have instant rapport, dude. You're handsome. You know, you're good to look at. And I know I'm just telling you. You're a stud. You do some amazing things out there on the farm with the canine clubs that come to the farm and do their what's it called? Obstacle course. I'm just going back to look. Instant rapport dust. What else? Impacting. So what is your ask for today? What's your ask for today? What are you going to ask for today? Because what's that thing? If you're not living your dreams, you're working on somebody else's. You can be busy. You can be as busy. You can be doing stuff for everybody else. Maybe it is part of your plan and your lesson for your dream, but you won't know it unless you ask. Give me the guidance for my dream today. I don't know. I don't think I'm a good asker. I ask all the time. I don't know that I know how to ask. I don't know if I know the right questions to ask. Hey, I want to be happy. Show me what I need to do to be happier. Give me the guidance. Give me the blessings to be happier today. And here's the problem. How many of us ask and something shows up and we go, I ain't doing that. That ain't what I asked for. And God goes, oh, we got to send him back to school. We got to give him the lesson again. We got to give him the lesson again. And the lesson will repeat. The pain will repeat until the lesson is learned. So I hope that gives you some guidance. Here's what I know. Some of the challenges you all have been through, all of the challenges you all have been through. The line I loved most from Mr. Rogers, the movie Mr. Rogers. One of the lines I loved most is when he went to that guy's his father's. He went to his father's house, right? The guy's dad got sick. The main character's dad got sick, and Tom Hanks is laying there, and he goes over and he leans and whispers in his ear. He says, "What'd you say to my dad?" He said, "I asked him to pray for me." Anybody who's going through that, who's got some things on their mind, has got a connection going on, has got to be closer. So anybody who's going through that, I'd like to be in their prayer list. He's got to be close to God. So some of you, listen, you know I love you. Some of you are way closer to God than I am right now because of the struggles you're going through. I got y'all on my prayer list. But some of you are going through a struggle a heck of a lot bigger than I go through. I hope I make it on your prayer list. there's somebody right now waking up this morning in your neighborhood who's hoping that they make it on your prayer list. And they hope, they're praying for you to walk into their life and present your opportunity, to give them hope again, to be somebody that stands tall and to show that you are living your dream. You may not be perfect. We're all carpenters in this world. Ain't none of us master craftsmen. We're figuring it out on a daily basis, breath by breath, trying to figure out our business and figure out our stuff. I would just ask you to figure out the things that are most important to you. Me learning my comp plan, okay, but me learning how to help somebody create some income, a little bit better. And remember, listen, this just downloaded to me. He didn't heal everyone. He healed the ones that showed up. Are you out there to let people show up in your life? How many people, how many of you, listen to this. How many of you have ever walked by somebody and you had this inclination to speak to them. You had this inclination to go back and ask them something. You left a clerk at a store and something. You go, man, I wish I would have asked them something. How many of you have ever had this feeling that you should have talked to somebody? So Ariel, that's the universe knocking on you, pushing on you, saying, go give your glory, go give your joy, go be the testimony that they were asking for. You know, one of the things that changed the course of my career is I paid attention to that. I'll never forget the first time I paid attention to it. It was 18 years ago. No, we've been married for 20 years. So 19 years ago. 19 years ago, I'll never forget it. I saw this woman who owned the jewelry shop in Michelle's town. And their family, I don't even remember the name of their family. Michelle would, because his dad bought stuff there all the time. But I saw this woman, and we had put some jewelry there to sell. Maybe it was some of my mom's stuff. I don't remember what it was, but we had put some jewelry there to sell. And I saw her 3 times. And on the third time, I said, listen, I know I know you, you know me, but I've seen you 3 times already. And Bob Proctor taught me this. So this is how old this information is. Bob said, when you see somebody a second time or a third time, one of you got a story to tell. One of you got a lesson to tell. One of you got a lesson to learn. So I walked up to her and I said, hi, I'm Sean Murphy, Michelle Kristen's fiance. We've got some jewelry there at the store. This is the 3rd time I've seen you, like in 12 hours. What's going on? There's something you need to tell me, or there's a question you need to ask me that I can give you an answer. And she goes, I've been wondering when I would see you. We saw each other 3 times. But she had some information to tell me about the jewelry. She didn't call. She's got Michelle's number. She's got Gary's number, Michelle's dad's number. She didn't call. She didn't text. She didn't do any of that stuff. I say that to say, when you see somebody for the 2nd or 3rd time, say, I know this is going to seem weird, but this is the 3rd time I've seen you. Like, we've been walking around. There's something that one of us has to share with the other. And usually it's me, the one learning the lesson. So tell me a little bit about you. What's going on with you right now? I'm Sean Murphy. Yeah, that's wonderful. I was looking at you too. You remind me of somebody. Now, if they say that you remind me of somebody, there's a story there. Go get a coffee. That's the Lord reaching into you and going, excuse me. Hello, distraction center. Hello, distraction central. Pay attention, please. I'm not going to give it to you on a silver platter. If you're seeing people 2 and 3 times the same person. Now, ladies, I get it. It might be weird. It might be crazy. it may put you on a huge safety question. Just follow your gut. But if you see them a couple of times, you say, hey, listen, this is the third time I've seen you. One of us has a story to tell each other. One of us has a lesson to learn, and it's usually me. What are you talking about? This is the third time I've seen you, and I've never seen you before, and I don't know why you keep showing up in my life. So I saw her at a restaurant, I saw her at the bank, and I saw her someplace else. Those are called Dodson. So I'm just saying, we've been given these gifts of intuition, and ladies, I can only imagine if I have them, how much more in tune you are. So yeah, I know that's not like the biggest. Well, how is this to help me in my business? Somebody type what business you're in, and if you say the name of your company, I'm going to say you're incorrect. I swear, like I feel like that a lot of living to you. Yeah, we don't connect. Yeah, absolutely, Natalie. Thank you. Building people, making people. So if your number one product keeps walking by and keeps showing up, I'd go do that. If you're in the people business, then when people keep showing up, go find out why that crop is showing up. What's the lesson you can learn from that? Y'all are amazing souls. The world needs you, needs every one of you to take your place, your rightful place. It doesn't say you take your wrongful place. And if you feel like you're in the wrong place, then maybe you ain't paying enough attention. Because he keeps trying to guide you. She keeps trying to guide you to the rightful place. Listen, you were picked to fight this battle. Because you choose to not lose. You refuse to lose. When you listen to this, when you listen to that link that RBP put in the chat, better have a glass of water next to you. Because when you light on fire, you're going to have to douse yourself. So I'll continue.
Hey, Mr. Sean, good morning. It's Tamika.
Good morning, Tamika. How can I be of service?
Well, how are you today?
I'm outstanding.
Hey, man, it always feels good to hear your voice this early, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Tamika, did you have a question, or were you just being wonderfully beautiful and saying good morning?
Good morning. I had just hopped on, so I was just trying to, yeah, it was the right time for me to speak.
It was. Good morning, Tamika. Hey, did Tamika say that last line again? I don't know if you remember it. You just said it, but just say that again if you remember.
I was just blessed to be on here right at the right time.
No. But here's what you said word for word. It was the right time for me to speak.
Oh yeah, it was the right time for me to hop on here and speak. It was as soon as I got on, it was quiet, and I was like, perfect timing.
So here's my point. How many of you are sitting there with that intonation, that inspiration when is this the right time for me to speak? Open your mouth and speak. That was perfect. That was like God coming in here and going, let me say one more thing. I'm going to get Tamika to say it. It was the right time for me to speak. How many of you are wondering, is it the right time for me to speak? It's the right time for you to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The enemy doesn't need to keep you quiet no more. It just doesn't. And listen, it doesn't mean there's always got to be noise coming out of your cake hole. You can speak with a smile. You can speak with your stance. It's time for you to speak. It's time for you to take your rightful place. The enemy keeps wanting to keep you in the wrongful place, and that's in doubt. That's in fear. That's in you going, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I do it. Yeah, Gina, doesn't that definitely hit home? I mean, that's like, oh, dang. Tessa, I'm glad you needed to hear this because we all need to hear it. Listen, Tamika shows up in that beautiful, clear voice. Yeah, it was the right time for me to speak. Oh, amen. Can I get an amen? Seema, thank you. I've learned a lot from you in the past 2 months. Listening to you, my pitch, my wording, my communication have significantly improved. And we're just scratching. We're just scratching the surface, girl. We're just scratching the surface. Look at all those amens. I love all of you. It's amazing to see what you do. Listen, I gotta tell you, I got the biggest kudos. I got the biggest, like you're the kingpin. I told the story about talking with you all about the tattoos and about how, and I shared that and they're like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Like, it's not brilliant. It's just, it happened to be what came through, but it was the right time to speak that, wasn't it? Thank you, Christian. I appreciate you. I love you too. Listen, this is, I don't remember. Did I ask you guys to send out your 3 messages? Did I ask to do that? No. Hey, while we're all in this amen, can I get an amen? Let's go ahead and send out your 3 messages right now.
I already had sent mine out.
You're awesome.
It's the unconscious competence, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're doing it without thinking about it now.
Yep. So send out your 3. Way to go, Ralph. See, that's cool, Crystal. Hey, amen, Crystal. But send out your 3 messages. Send out your 3 messages. And for those of you that might be new on the call, 73 of you. How amazingly cool. This is so awesome. Send out your 3 messages of love and joy. And I got to tell you, if you miss a day, it makes a big old hole. It makes a big old hole. And you got to fill that back up again. And the hole that gets filled is fear and doubt, not a hole of love and joy. So send out your messages. Send out more. Michael the other day talked about sending out a bunch. Nano talked about sending out a bunch. There was a day some of you may have got a message from me on Instagram. I think I sent out 150. Copy and paste. It wasn't blindly. I picked the people I sent it to. But it was the enemy was knocking on the door and I'm like, no, not right now. Let me get busy again. The thing that was said last night to the gentleman that said, for 4 months, I've made a huge change in my life, right? Idle place is in the enemy's hands. What's that phrase? Somebody type that out for me, right? Something when you're idle, somebody takes over. Bree, you sent 40 yesterday. It felt amazing. What, say it again, Ralph?
Idle time is in the devil's hand.
Yeah. Idle hands, the devil's playgrounds. Idle time is in the devil's hands. How many of you are sitting in idle times wondering why your business ain't growing? Ooh. You in the playground when you should be in the field.
In the field. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna go. We need to do a meeting so I can maybe church in here.
Yes, sir. Dallas meetup coming soon. We need it.
Hey, Sean.
Yes, my love.
I normally send mine out during the day. I normally send out by 10 to 20 in the morning, but it does it throughout the day with people. I lose count, so I don't keep a count. I send out so many. Well,
again, so send out more so it makes an impression on you. And okay. I say this because if we do it and we lose count, that's become habit.
Right.
So that's called habitualization. When we get habitized to a situation. So now, and the only reason I'm saying this, LaToya, is because there's somebody that may not be sending out as many as you. And and we look at Lewis and we go 258. Awesome. You know what I'm going to say to Lewis? Do it again today.
Mm-hmm.
See, 258, that's a great number. Doing it again today creates a great tribe. Doing it again tomorrow creates a movement. Doing it again the next day says, I'm not going to be defeated. Because if you don't do this is what shows what you can do. And if you don't do 258 today, guess what the enemy just did?
Snap.
The enemy wins.
He won. So you know what, Sean? Today I'm gonna send 260 just to top up.
That's it. That's it. There you go. And it's okay if it's the same ones. So I say all of this to say, do what we can do and do just a little bit more. But if we get all exhausted and we can't do it again the next day, then what did we do? Now, if we're going to be building up and we're going to be building up our strength and building up our courage, building up our caliber, building up our presence, building up our internal, we need the source. So maybe when you give out 258, you give away the source, you're sharing your source so that you can get rid of, right, to do less. Because when you send out 258, you're pretty focused. That doesn't happen in a minute. So you're actually doing less. Listen to this. Here's the perfect example. Way to go, Lewis. You're sending out 258 messages. You're doing less because when you're sending out the messages, you can only send out the messages. You can't worry about whether somebody likes you, doesn't like you, whether the dog pooped in the front yard or the backyard. You're not worrying about all that stuff. You're worried about sending out the messages, and that's doing less, which is doing so much more. When's the last time any one of us touched 258 souls in a day, regardless of whether they wanted us to or not? Well, 258 messages is hard. Compared to what? Could any of you sit down and have 258 one-on-ones saying, I love you today? Here's the real question. Do you have 258 people on the list you could send I love yous to? And if the answer is yes, then what other business are you in? Oh, well, I don't have time to send out 250. What are you doing otherwise? How many times can you say thank you today to the people you walk by? See, I come up with ways. I come up with ways to engage with people that allow me to not be scared. What? If you hang around me for any period of time, you can pretty much count on me saying a few things when I walk into a room. If we're sitting down at a table, I'm always going to ask their name. Some of you always ask their name. I'm going to use their name. But I'm always going to say, hey, listen, Sally, Beto was at Cantina Laredo. He was our server. And Kat was this amazing, beautiful young woman. Here's what happened with Kat. Kat's this amazing, she's this incredible server, this mixologist extraordinaire. You'd call her a bartender. She's gorgeous. Rhonda, how old would you say she was? Was she mid-20s?
Yeah, I would say mid-20s.
And she had a rockin' body. And I say that only because she's a bartender. She gets paid on tips. We all get that. And she could use that part along with this beautiful face, amazing eyes. And because I said, hey, Kat, has anybody said thank you today for just being this amazing soul? And the two amazing women that were with me going, he does this all the time, and they ain't a pickup line. Because, that can happen, right? So the last drink, she brings over the last drink. I was getting a frozen margarita. And on the rocks, and she brings it over, and it's in a different glass. It's in a different glass than the first one. And I go, oh, look at the glass. How cool. And I give her a high five. And when we go to check out, Beto, who's our server, says, oh, and the last drink was on Kat. What? I'm not surprised because that happens to me all the time. Here's what I need you to pay attention to. Listen to this carefully. This just downloaded me. What if we gave people a chance to give us the only gift they could? Kat couldn't give me leadership, although she did. She didn't know it. She couldn't give me mentorship, although she did. She couldn't give me health tips, although she did. Right? I don't know what you call the pants she was wearing, or the whatever those tights were. Are they called tights? Please pray to God you never see me in tights. My point is that, so what Kat had to find a way to repay me. Do you get this? She didn't give me a drink. Listen carefully. She didn't give me a drink. That's what showed up at my table. You know what she gave me? The only way she could say thank you. That was bigger than her coming out of her words. It was the only gift she could give me at that time, which is something she had complete control over, and she decided to give it to me. Does that make sense? So here's my question to you. When you sit down across the table from a prospect, what's the only gift they can give you, freely give you? To start with, it's their time. And how many, exactly, Natalie, and how many of us are grateful, absolutely grateful, that is the $1 million gift. And when I left, I put my hand up when Kat was talking to people at the bar. All I did was walk up to the bar and do that. She turned, looked at me, and she gave me she slapped my hand so hard. You know, normally their heart hits when you're both going together, but I just held my hand up, and she transferred so much energy to me. Why? Because I was talking to the soul, not the suit. I was talking to her soul, not to this amazing, gorgeous body that stood in front of us that she knows she had. And we just made her feel so good. And so what happens when somebody makes you feel so good? What's the only thing they can give you? Is the gift they have to give. Does that help? And look, we got through 2 more questions of the 17 pages. We didn't even get through a page today. What's your questions, comments, or thoughts? Go ahead and raise your hand and let's have a dialogue real quick. Good Lord, it's 7:30 already? Wow. Any questions or comments? RBP, go for it.
Good morning. Oh, okay. Coming off of this weekend, y'all. So Sean's got notes. I've got a plethora of notes, and it's crazy amount of notes, and it's things that you would never think you would get from a weekend. So I got to do this. I've got to tell y'all that if you want a total different way to look at things like these calls give us, but for your business, you need to get to the next gig summit. It's in May. I think it's like May 16th. And no, they don't pay me to say that. It's like freaking amazing. The people you're going to meet are people I should never in society's thoughts ever be able to meet. And the people I get to hear from and the people I get to speak into are people I should never even be able to touch. So it was freaking cool. So at the end of yesterday, a guy walked up that my world and his world would never cross. It just never would cross. And it crossed. And that was just a moment. It was a God moment is all it was. And he got to share a breakthrough in his life that's happening. And y'all know every time I talk to y'all, all I ever do is pray that God uses me however he wants to use me. I just want to get out of the way and let him come through because he's unselfish. He's full of love. He's caring. He's giving. And my person doesn't always exhibit those qualities because we're people and we're selfish. And that's just where we speak from. And we're all getting better, but that's where we speak from. So I had the pleasure of listening to this man's story, and it's a story I didn't deserve to hear. I've done nothing to gain his trust and to gain his respect, but God just opened up the door and he allowed us to have a conversation, and he allowed this man to be completely vulnerable. And he struggled with the vulnerability, but he allowed it to happen anyway. And I was listening to his vulnerability. And as I listen, even as I listen to Sean speak, or I listen to any of y'all on the calls, or I listen to anybody that contacts me, I'm always doing two things. I'm hearing you and giving you my time and my attention. But I'm also in my spirit always praying, God, if there's anything you want them to hear that they haven't heard yet, if you can use me to do it, I sure would be honored. And I open up myself to hear anything that they might need to hear, or that's something I need to hear deeper than what the person's speaking to me. So I'm sitting here watching this guy and I'm listening to him, and he's struggling. I love you too, Leo. When we meet, oh my gosh. Anyway, we're sitting here and I'm watching him struggle. And this man who can flip and own the world is having a hard time sometimes looking up, telling the story like he's looking down. And he gets that big smile on his face, that nervous smile that I don't know what's about to come out of my mouth. And I hope I'm not, destroying my life or anybody else's smile. And he keeps talking and he keeps doing this. And he talks about this breakthrough that he's had. And he mentioned, like Sean said, he asked, and he was talking about asking God. I asked God, and he just kept going and talking and all. And he goes, but I don't know when I know I got to do this, but I don't know when the next timing is. I don't know, and instantly I heard, tell him to ask me. So again, y'all, remember the stage. This is a man I should never even be in the same room with. Like, little old East Texas mama should never even in society's thought.
Based on what we consider either business status
Right.
or social status.
Right.
So
right, exactly. But because God's so amazing, I get these moments. And he's like, I just don't know. I just don't know. And I heard, tell him to ask me. So I just put my hand on his arm and I said, you just answered your question. And he kind of looks at me, and Sean's over here and Curtis is standing right here. And he looks at me, and this other guy's just kind of stared at me. And I was like, did you hear it? And he said, no. And I said, you asked. And he just looked at me. And this is my favorite part of any conversation I ever have. And I want y'all to get it, because when you get it, it's like lights out fun. Life gets crazy fun. I said, all you have to do is ask. You asked God, and he gave you this point. If you ask him again, he's probably going to give you the next point. And then what I always tell people, and I hope this is resonating with y'all, I always tell people, ask. Ask what's next. Ask if you can handle what's next. Ask to be held in protection while you hear what's next, and only to be revealed what it is you can handle, and not to be given anything more at the moment. And ask for everything to come as it needs to come and as you can handle it coming. And this creates a dialogue. This would be the equivalent as if you walked up to Sean and said, I need a mentoring session. You wouldn't just stop talking. Sean would go, okay. You would have to ask. You would have to ask Sean, or he would have to ask you. Which say to me, if you're not ready to receive it, won't come because, hang on, let me read that. That sounded interesting. Because it won't come, because when it does and you're not ready, you'll fumble. Yeah, but here's the beauty part of that, Tamika, is you can still ask. And where I'm weak, he's strong. And where I'm dumb, he's smart. And where I'm timid, he's courageous. And when I don't have it, the beauty of it is, the best part is to ask when you don't feel like you're worthy of receiving it. Because as you fumble and you think it sounds crazy, it's going to come out so amazing because you're out of the way that it's not you anymore. And that's when it shines even more. And it totally gets you out of the way. And then this amazingness comes through. Y'all see this every day Sean gets on the call and says, good morning. Every day y'all see this, for lack of better words, modeled, because that's what Sean does. Sean is an amazing person. I just spent the whole weekend with him and his wife and his son. By all means, I will sing Sean Murphy's praises until the day I die. Amazing. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to come out a little crazy. Sean ain't amazing as what you think he is. Sean's amazing at getting out of the way and letting more come through than what he is. And that's what y'all see that's so enticing. And
Could you
that's
repeat that part, please?
Oh, I got to repeat something. Let me see if I can say it again. Sean is not as amazing as what you think he is. Sean is amazing at getting out of the way and letting what he gets downloaded come through him. And that's what we are all mesmerized by. That's what we're all attracted to deep down inside. That's what we all want. And we think we have to be Sean Murphy to get it. No, you don't. You don't have to be anybody but you to get it. You just have to be willing to have this dialogue of questions and hear the answers and go back to Tamika's thoughts. You never have to arrive at any level to hear. There's no level you have to get to hear. You can hear if you want to hear. You can ask if you want to ask. Because some of the things that I was sitting here thinking as he got on this, and y'all can tell this, that I'm very passionate about this, is, am I hesitant to ask because maybe my parents always said no, and I'm used to hearing no, 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 no? Does that make me just not ask because I just can't handle another no? And as far as asking goes, I wrote down, am I setting up my daughter to not ask God questions because I say no to her all the time? Are you setting yourself up to not ask questions because all your life you've heard no's, you've heard limitations? Think about that. Sean mentioned yesterday and the day before about the enemy coming through when Leo was talking and messing up the signal. You don't think that happens in this dialogue? You don't think that signal gets jacked up on a one-on-one dialogue when you're asking, when you're sitting in your quiet time and you're asking God? You think about that. If he'll come through and jack up a signal to where we can't even hear Leo, think about what it does in your own thoughts. So it creates in you a tenacity to not allow that signal to be interrupted. When Leo's signal got interrupted the other day, Sean didn't just throw the phone call and go, we're done, got to go, click, and turned off everybody. He waited patiently and sat and just knew that it will come through. He knew. That's just sitting in faith. He just knew. How many times do we run in and out of that gap, that faith gap, going, forget it, I can't hear it, it's too loud, that's crazy, all this happened, the cat just, jumped on me, the glass just broke, all this crazy, crazy stuff. Hang on a second, I was going to see what you just asked, Ashley, if you asked a question. There was one point Rhonda said about asking. If you have if there was a question of that, let me know. Because when I start talking like this, I don't always, I can't repeat a lot of it because this is all downloads coming to me, but I know I'm not the only one. You guys are so hungry that you're on a phone call at 6:30 in the morning every day or 8:30 in the morning on the weekends because you see a man who exemplifies where you want to get to in life and what you want to do in life. And he's just a man. And he's a fabulous human being, by all means, amazing human being. And the reason he's an amazing human being is he gets out of the way and he lets it come through. And what he has, every one of y'all can have. And when you take this networking opportunity And we've been told we can't call it network marketing anymore. That's a whole nother funny conversation. When you take this opportunity that's been given to you to build a company, and you realize it's been given to you to build up yourself, it's a whole nother way to look at this. It's a whole nother perspective to look at this. And the payoff is just the team builds and you gain in income. And you have the authority to do so by asking. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're worthy of asking. And it's okay to ask. And you'll get an answer. And it might seem quiet for a while. You'll get an answer. And I'm going to encourage you, because there's days, even with all the development that I have done, there's days where I still sit and go, why am I asking? And it's so quiet. And out of nowhere, something will happen. And it'll come. It'll be presented in a different way. It'll show up in a different way. I'll notice something different. But the beauty of it is, while I'm sitting in stillness and quiet and asking, I notice other things. And sometimes that's all it is. You don't get the answer sometimes until you notice other things. I don't know a lot, but I know this is truth. And I know this to be factual in my life. And the payoff is unbelievable. To sit in a room yesterday, and maybe you need to hear this because this will speak your language, and to be standing around 8 or 10 people. And if you collectively put the numbers on paper that they make together, I don't know. What were we looking at, Sean? What was the total, if you put all the incomes together, what was the total income?
Well, lifetime incomes is well over $500 million.
Half a what?
$500 million, 500
Yeah,
million.
there you go. Yeah, he didn't say M, he said B. And here's little East Texas, roll up in that house, in that room, and I'm in there. If that can happen for me by listening and asking, it can happen for you. And if Sean Murphy came into your life, I'm going to tell you right now, God's got a big, big plan for you. And you are enough, Manny. You are enough. Everything about you is enough. I look at you, Natalie, with that amazing hair that I'm so freaking jealous of. And I see the wheels in your brain turning, and you're enough. You're enough. It's just hadn't settled into your mind totally that you're enough. And yeah, I'm going to slaughter this one. Crispy, with your hoodie on. Yeah, there you are. I see your eyes now. Something's turned inside your head. It's clicking. And I want to tell you, and I want you to see me. I want to tell you you're worthy. And you deserve so much more than you already have, both on this planet and with love and kindness. You deserve much, much more. And if you will believe that, it's going to rush in a whole amazing way. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking through here. I hope this resonates with y'all. If Latoya, you're freaking amazing. If y'all have questions, you can ask me. But when Sean started talking about this
books, are you saying we're standing in our way and that we should move out of our way? I don't know that I heard you touch on that.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're completely in our way. We are our biggest obstacle. If you want to blame somebody, blame yourself. Because
where you're at, it's
your fault. Yeah. But here's the beauty of it, y'all. Listen to me. If East Texas mama, who sounds the way I sound and looks the way I look, can do this and get out of her way and be sitting in a room like I was sitting in yesterday with text messages, not not Facebook or DMs, text messages directly to my cell phone from people that I almost want to pass out when I get their text messages is happening to me. It will happen to each one of y'all. I'm old enough to be all your mamas. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to y'all. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to just step out of the way for a little bit. Don't work so hard. Take a deep breath. Ask. Wait and listen. And while you're listening, pay attention to what's around. And then write it down, because you're going to be my teacher. You're going to come back and you're going to tell me what happens. And you're going to teach me by hearing your experiences. And you're going to teach me how to keep hearing what I'm hearing and how to move forward where God put me. Because I'm going to learn from you with feedback and thoughts and encouragement, how it's coming out of my mouth and what I need to do better. And I'm going to get to be your student. So don't rob me of that. I'm going to tell you right now, you rob me, I get a little angry. Don't rob me of those opportunities. Use this information and change your whole world. And then come back and teach this mama. I got an 8-year-old little girl sitting back there. Yes, we had her late in life. And I got a husband that's about to retire in 3 years. Y'all better teach me something, because I need it. I needed all of it. Like, I got to keep my man happy and my little girl on the right trajectory. So go sit and talk and ask and listen and share it with me so I can grow. And then I'll do everything in my power to send it right back to you so you can grow. So I hope that helped y'all. I love y'all. I'm here for any of you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thanks, RBP, Pink Robe Lady. Before I forget, and we end this call, y'all, I see your names here and I see your name, but I don't know your Instagram name, or I see your Instagram name and don't know your name and not sure if it's you. So if you could go to my Instagram and send me a message from your Instagram what your name is. Now, some of you, I just tagged you in a post. Some of you, I didn't tag you because I'm like, I either forgot, didn't, or not sure who you are on Instagram. So if you could send me a message, right? Sean G. Murphy now, go send me a message. This is my Instagram. This is my name. And because I just want to make sure that, because I love y'all. I tag y'all. I want you. I want you in my feed. I want to be on your feed. I want to be of service to you. So that being said, y'all are amazing. Y'all, listen, y'all have some amazing stuff coming up in your life. And because you are all absolutely amazing, you're all absolutely making the world a better place. The enemy's coming. It's going to show up. It's here to test you. And it's just not only the main enemy. It uses all kinds of little things: procrastination, distraction, fear, aggravation. When you're in joy in this moment, there's not a whole lot that can affect you. So I appreciate
Hey, Sean,
Go ahead.
one more thing real quick. I want to tell y'all something. He talks about it's coming this whole weekend, I have been able to turn my head about that far that way and that far that way, because it was a huge distraction. Something locked down my neck and my back and my shoulders. I'm completely inflamed and locked down. But did it stop me? Not one flipping bit. I mean, I would drop something, I couldn't even pick it up. Sean would have to pick it up for me. It's coming. Pay attention to those signs. Embrace those signs and rejoice in those signs and celebrate those signs, because that's breakthrough. And that's tenacity, and that's stubbornness redeemed to keep you on the path you're supposed to be on. So listen to your body. Watch it. Don't get angry at it. It'll probably release in the next couple of days, but it's coming, and walk through it, because that person that sits across from you one day that's going, I can't move. I can't go with you. I can't move. My neck's hurt. Blah, blah. Listen, I got you. Let me tell you what happened. And you can help them go through it. And instead of being held down by it, it didn't do anything except create a bigger fire in me. And you can ask Sean, I wasn't quitting.
Well,
I'm
and
gonna
she
stop.
said my neck's sore, and I said, so?
Yeah. Or then I just acted like it was crazy and said, this is a pain in my neck, y'all. So just a thought, just keep that in mind. These are little things that most people won't point out to you.
Yeah, it happens to all of us. It does. My back was out 2 weeks ago, and it's like, Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all say bye to each other. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits. I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Y'all say bye to each other.
Bye, friends.
Blessed day, everyone.
Have an amazing day. God bless you all. Love you.
Everyone,
guys,
have
love
an
you.
amazing day.
Have an amazing, positive, and powerful day, y'all.
Everybody have a
Yes.
blessed, amazing day. All positivity. Love all
We're
y'all
all lucky.
misfits.
Let's go.
Have an amazing day, family. I pray that every good that you do comes back to you tenfold.
Thanks,
May the
Seema.
universe continue to bless us.
Successful day, people.
Aw.
Amen.
It works in such a wonderful way.
Amen,
Hey, I
sister.
love that.
Yes.
Amen,
I
amen.
love y'all. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
you too.
Bye. All right.
Let's go.
Thank you, Sean.
Love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Love y'all.